Welcome to Sign of the Times on this November 18th. So I hear that there is a National Taxi Alliance strike happening in Gauteng, and there's thousands that have been left stranded. Brian, where are you at the moment?
Hi there, Mr. Lehman. Well, if you're living in the Western Cape um, and you are going to work, you're either going to be taking a bus, a train, or a taxi. Taxis are, of course, the most affordable means of transportation, and here in Cape Town, we can still enjoy using them. This is, however, not the case in Gauteng today.
Yes, sir. I believe that the Gauteng strike has left thousands stranded. They've just handed in a memorandum and they want their demands to be met. Now, that taxi alliance, they want to be taken seriously. What are they saying?
Oh, well, obviously, by striking, a lot of people ended up being late for work. Pupils ended up being late for their final exams. So they're really making a statement to show just how important the taxis are. And they're saying that, they're not being taken seriously as an organization. They're not getting the financial support from government. And it's really time for them to be seen as a major player in the transport industry.
I see. And I also hear that the National Taxi Alliance can't understand why the people set out to protect them have been deprived of their freedom. Apparently, there was a Lochotla that took place, and that is a meeting. And they say it was really a meeting about how the funds are going to be distributed amongst themselves. So there's not enough money being distributed um, in the taxi association because they need to improve the infrastructure to be on par with on the same level as Golden Arrow or on the same level as our train service provider as well. And I believe the march is going on to the union buildings. But anyway, thank you, Brian, for that. The government has allowed these taxi associations to become this powerful. And remember the old saying, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. We shouldn't put greed before the people. Now, in other news, the Bushiris have surrendered to Malawian police. Brian, I believe you are now back at the studio. Can you tell us what happened earlier today?
Well, one of the accused will be applying for bail tomorrow. Um, the police arrived at the Bushiri's home and were met by 15 guards. Now, the prophet was at a hotel at the time, and later both him and his wife gave themselves in to the police.
When are they coming to South Africa to face justice?
Well, the Bushiri's lawyers are fighting for their freedom and will make it difficult.
In other news, in a country with high rape statistics, life behind bars is the minimum sentence. A 34-year-old man has just been found guilty of the crime of raping a 13-year-old girl, I believe, or 10-year-old girl. And that is really not on. I don't know why we are raping young girls. That is really not what this is about. I mean, why do it? Why are you raping a young girl? You know, um, we have such high statistics. Um, People think that if you do this to a young girl, you gain magical powers or something. But really, guys, that's not the case. That is not true at all. So please don't do it. It's not right. Gender-based violence is not right. We shouldn't be killing someone because they are different to us. Should be calm acceptance.
You're quite right, Mr. Lehman. In other news, there's chaos at the SABC over looming retrenchments. Yesterday, the SABC announced that they lost millions last year, and the SAB is still going ahead retrenching their staff today. Uh, you know, it's really, they're such a wonderful provider. They provide us with such important news over the years, and for so many people to lose their jobs is really not good at all.
In other news, um, early childhood development, um, they are facing challenges. COVID 19 has been hard on everyone, and early childhood development is so important because while your child may not be going to school as normal this year, you can be your child's teacher while they are at home.
Early childhood development is essential. They have literacy-based programs um, that focuses on making your parent a teacher while obviously being at home. Because as you can imagine, school fees are um, through the roof. Some people are unemployed without work. So, you forget that you can teach your child at home. You just need to know how. And that's what early childhood development is all about.
For the learning centers that are open, I'm thinking of your creches, your preschools. It's important to ensure that you have your PPEs in place. You need to make sure that you're not transmitting the virus when giving our children an education, especially in early childhood development. We don't want them to contact COVID 19 while learning some life lessons.
Well, these institutions work very hard on reducing the impact that COVID 19 has had on students. So, government has made it imperative that they do wear PPEs, and obviously, regular inspections are done to ensure that the correct guidelines are being followed at creches and other learning institutions.
I heard that new PPEs are being handed out at KZN, Cape Town, and even Gauteng. So these people are working very hard at enriching our children. On other news, Ramaphosa is encouraging investors to invest in our country.
Well, rating agencies are going to look to see if businesses are taking care of their employees. Um, they're also going to be looking at how South Africa handles its social issues. What you highlighted earlier about the rape crisis, gender based violence, these are all detractors. But obviously, we need to look at the positive things if we're going to be investing and encouraging investing in our country. Ramaphosa himself has invested billions in employment. Aspen Pharmacare, one of the major anesthetic providers in the world, based in Port Elizabeth, they have just been selected to manufacture a vaccine. And they're going to be developing that vaccine. Um, the Johnson and Johnson has appointed them to develop it.
Well, that's good news. It's all good and well that we're putting our energy and our resources to good use. If we could beat the rest of the world to developing the vaccine, that would be even better. Um, it's really good, um, especially when discussing investment and future investors. That is obviously a major discussion as well.
Well, there is an investment conference happening in Joburg at the moment. It's allowing businesses to have an overview of the investments that are in the pipeline. There's no doubt that businesses need to maximize their resources when investing. It's not just about investing money, but also investing time, investing energy. It's pointless you throw money at something, but you don't look at how that money is being utilized. So that is obviously the most important thing. You can have resources at your disposal, but you end up not using them because you're just throwing money at something. And that can obviously go wrong and has gone wrong in the past. So this investment conference is important because it conveys where the challenges lie, and it gives business an opportunity to restore some much needed confidence that needs to be rebuilt following COVID-19 and the causes of COVID-19, lockdown, and all of that. So businesses are only going to invest in a company that is confident and certain about growth. At the investment conference, every business that's looking for more investors has an opportunity to display their confidence.
And how does that affect job creation?
Well, all sectors in the economy are affected by COVID-19, and the small to medium enterprise sector is the one that needs to look at things futuristically, needs to look into the future, and they clearly need uh, the more focus from investors because that is where we have high unemployment rates. There's no doubt that they've been the hardest hit. This is really a campaign where they're saying that 50 present corporates, um, although only 50 present corporates were allowed to be at this investment conference. So what about the other corporates? The people that couldn't make it to the conference. We need to reach out to them as well because there's people out there that can help, but they don't know the need. They weren't invited to the conference. They don't know that there's an opportunity for them to invest in our country, and this obviously needs to be highlighted as well.
Well, it is important as well to pay people for their services and make sure that we pay them within the 30-day period and not leave them hanging. If you are someone who is paying an employee, make sure you pay them on time and pay them the correct amount, because this is not the time to short pay. I pay people the correct amount for the hours that they have been given. It's time for a commercial break.